And when we needed to get George Soros's piece out, right, the week before Prop 19, we called them. And, though I now have Sting on my honorary board. How did I get Sting? I published a big piece on the 70th anniversary of the repeal of alcohol prohibition, right? And Sting saw it and started handing it out, and a common friend told me this. And Wall Street Journal and their editorial page has stopped. They used to editorialize with like Hun-like, but now they don't editorialize at all on the drug issue. Right? And some of the real right-wing guys in America, like Glenn Beck and these other guys, who love attacking Soros, they don't attack Soros on this issue. So there's this issue among the right, the libertarian, economic, get the government out of my backyard, out of my bedroom, all this stuff. We have some really interesting allies there, thinking libertarians, thinking economists, conservatives, the ones who just say, hey, smoking a joint is like, homosexuality and actually homosexuality is in the Bible. This one ain't, right? So it's like why nuns are more comfortable giving out a sterile syringe than they are a condom, right? But there's potential alliances to be built. When I put together the funding for these big ballot initiatives to try to reduce the prison population, and it's overwhelmingly reducing the incarceration of black and brown men, I get some money from Soros and other liberals, but in some cases I get more money from the right-wingers, libertarians. They don't want to know it's black and brown people, although they know. They don't want to talk about it. But for them, it's about the principle. It's about this is stupid government policy. This is locking people up. They care about the principle. And I think, in the Liberal Party in Australia, you have those streaks of that. I had a dinner with Malcolm Turnbull a couple days ago in ACT. Now he's more in the centrist liberal thing, but there are other guys in that party who are, they get it. And
drug.
No, not really.
Here we have the nationalized system and it works very well.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that because the medical marijuana thing never lined up in any way with the whole healthcare debate.
Okay.
It was a separate issue. And interestingly, older people still are the most hostile to medical marijuana.
Okay.
I thought that they would be more with us, and it turned out it was very much a youth type issue and stuff like that.
So I thought we might just not bother about it here because we actually have really good access to cancer drug. If we're sick here, but we're not wealthy, we still get treated.
No. Part of it is that marijuana is, for some people, a less expensive medication than others. Like, for example, you take something like glaucoma or certain nausea-related chemotherapy. There are now other drugs that work as well as marijuana. You can probably find the right one, right? And marijuana happens to be quick and easy and sometimes cheaper. But the real issue was that people were giving testimony, very heartfelt testimony. People who had never smoked marijuana before, people who hadn't smoked marijuana in 20 years, and we're coming up with stuff that basically saying, look, the only way I was able to hold my food down, the only way I could put on weight when I had HIV, or have I with HIV when I was going through the worst symptoms, the only thing that stopped these horrific pain syndrome, and now there's more and more scientific evidence coming out to substantiate this stuff. And that testimony that, in fact, even when there was an issue about how expensive all the pills were, but it was also, my physician had me on morphine pills, these pills, all this sort of stuff. They were making me constipated, making me nauseous, and then a few hits off a joint, so it was that kind of testimony that this stuff really, really works. That was very, very compelling.
Just to let you know what our problem here is, mate, GW Pharmaceuticals.
Wait, hold on one second.
So I just need to say, we need to wrap it up in a minute, just because we have a little bit of time.
Okay, so just before, is there anyone else who didn't have a chance before? Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask when you think America will get its first injection center.
Well, you asked about the first injection center. My San Francisco director, Laura Thomas, is working really hard. She has 20 years experience in the HIV advocacy area. The fact that Gavin Newsom, the mayor of San Francisco, who's been an ally to some extent on some issues, the fact that he is now leaving, and so long as he's had his eye on statewide office, he's been afraid to push the envelope on this stuff. And he personally apologized to me, I shouldn't say this on tape, but don't cut this, but for not being able to endorse the Prop 19 ballot initiative. He just felt that it was taking a little risk. But he just won the election for lieutenant governor. He's going to be out of San Francisco. He's going to have 4 or 8 years to think through how to deal with this drug issue. Meanwhile, among the possible successors for him as mayor in San Francisco are people who may be much more sympathetic and may not have an eye on statewide office. And that suggests to me that we have a moment in San Francisco. We'll know more in a couple of months when we see who becomes the mayor and new city council. But we are focused on it. Drug Policy Alliance and the U.S. Harm Reduction Coalition are working together. So San Francisco is the likely place. There's also been an effort in New York City to try to get this going. And we keep looking to see whether we could pop it through someplace else, someplace unpredictable. But I'd say, also, it probably gets set up as a research trial, not as a specific initiative because of laws and such. But, ask me in a couple months, okay? And your question about GW Pharmaceutical, you all know, is the British-based company that's doing the medical marijuana research and has been pushing for the medicalization, pharmaceuticalization of medical marijuana.
Yeah, it's not research anymore. I mean, they've done all their clinical trials, it's available. But there hasn't been a single story in any Australian media outlining that. That's why we've made such little progress.
That's interesting.
Huh? Not a single story.
Yeah.
So we managed to get Ethan everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, I want to thank Ethan so much for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
And, in this sector, to use an Australian expression can often seem like pushing shit uphill, trying to change policy. And I think that, it's a reminder that you never know when you're at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And you're on
Yeah,
your way down.
exactly. I have some of my business cards I'm happy to give you if you want to.